guys, my name is Willem. Welcome to LRDX Cars. Today I'm here at the Van Mossel Group in Hasselt in Belgium to test drive the latest Abarth. It's actually a full electric Abarth, so that's a bit a sad one, but I thought why not test it out, share it a bit with you guys. I'm gonna have a nice drive with it today. I'm gonna show you a bit around the exterior and interior of this new full electric Abarth and even tell you a bit the history of Abarth, how it started when we are behind the wheel. First thoughts is that it already looks quite good, it looks quite fun, just as an Abarth should look. But we'll see how it drives, because that's also a very important thing. I would say enjoy watching the video to all of you. The new Fiat Abarth E, you have like a 155 horsepower electric engine, pushes out 235 Newton meters of torque, which makes the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time just 7 seconds, which is quite fast. It's as fast as you would have on another petrol car in the past. Only the top speed is quite less, it's just 155 kilometers an hour the top speed, so not the highest, but it's with most of the electric cars, because the battery drains quite quick if you take it on a high speed run. But overall I quite like this exterior look. We'll see how it drives, we'll see how it behaves, the battery on this car. It has some cool new features, like when you start it up, it gives sort of a rock and roll sound, which is quite funny. We'll listen to that. And it has a sound box created underneath of the car on the underside, that you still have sort of a rumble sound of an engine, although it's of course a fake sound. And yeah, we'll see how it is while you're driving it. Maybe we'll turn it off, because it's a bit not always the nicest, I think, to have a fake sound on. And we'll take of course the roof of this one if the weather allows it today, because it started raining actually. This is also a C version, a convertible version of the Fiat 500 here. You can always choose between, like you have on the regular Fiat 500s. Quite cool look here in the front of the front bumper. More sporty as a regular Abarth. You have still the Fiat headlights, which are a bit the same as you have on the Fiat 500e. And then the cool grill underneath, which is more sporty, the Abarth badge on top. Looks quite cool. Then we'll also have a look on the inside, because it's also a total new inside, total new interior, so we'll check that out. Then we'll go for a nice test drive, guys. Sound is quite fun. Then put on the brake, put it in drive here on the button, and let the brake loose. There it goes. Automatically gets also the parking brake off. And we'll see how it drives. Already quite light steering wheel. And like all electric cars, easily goes off. With the sound you sort of have the feeling that you still drive a petrol engine, because it gives sort of the vibrating of a normal engine. It's quite fun. Quickly also show you these clusters. Which are a bit more sporty, then you see how fast you can drive, and the speedometer till 170. How much of the battery is left, and it already says 215 kilometers only we can drive on a fully charged battery. We'll see about that. There's sort of a you sort of have here on the side how much of the battery you're actually using. And everything looks quite new here on the inside. Beautiful dashboard, steering wheel which is in Alcantara is quite a good feeling. You have like this 12 o'clock marker in the center. And blue which is quite cool. Beautiful stitching here on the steering wheel. And just to drive here around town here in Hasselt in Belgium is easy. I think most of the time, most of the people that are looking for Fiat 500e or an Abarth will mostly drive it here around the city center as a city car. It's quite fun to use, easy to park, it's small, and of course because the range isn't really the biggest, only 200 kilometers. Okay, you can still drive somewhere, but you will mostly use it around town as a fun car, maybe as a second car even, or if you work in a bigger city and you don't really need to travel that far, then this car is perfect, I think. Especially when you don't have like that much children or people you need to take with you, because it's nice to be in here with two people. I'm now here with my friend, and it's comfortable to be in the car with two persons, but I think if you really take a third or a fourth passenger, it would be a bit harder, because we would need to pull our seats a bit forward to get someone in the back seats. And then of course also our comfort will suffer under that. But yeah, just to be in here, it's quite nice, quite new. Everything is easy to interact. I will look for a McDo, so we can do like a proper drive-in with this new Abarth. See if the navigation can find it. But type McDonald's in, would be normally. Then you can also take this roof off normally. Yes, it finds it. But it says it's in Kuringen, is it right? Yeah, working properly. Yeah, okay. Drive. It's nice, I can already use the navigation also, see if that works nice and easy. Of course, no shifting, no pedals behind the steering wheel, no boost button or anything. But we're driving it now, I think in the track mode, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Scorpion track we're driving it in. So the most sporty mode. Maybe not the best to drive here around town, but yeah, it's an Abarth, so we need to test it out. Here you see some of the sensors. Of course, the car has parking sensors in the front and in the rear. I don't think it has like cameras to it, but yeah, on such a small car it really isn't that necessary, I think, to have like a full surround cameras. Well, we're parked next to the road. Also want to show you the known spoiler that's always on an Abarth car, which I forgot to mention earlier, which is quite cool. You can read like 500 here in the rear lights, which is quite cool. A lot of nice details on the car, just as the wheels. The color is of course quite fun. And what I also like is the indicators here on the side, this fin. It's made quite special. Yeah, cool looking car if you ask me. I was expecting to find more negative things about it, but I quite like it, quite enjoy it. It's a fun looking car. It's everything you would want from a special small city car like this one, small Abarth. Looks quite cool, and then we're going to take it more on the countryside to have sort of a fun drive and also shoot some more shots for you guys. When you start up, you have this rock and roll sound, and you actually do have a reversing camera, I forgot to say, which is quite right. Nice. The lighting is here behind the steering wheel. Put it back in auto. Ah, that's why it was so dark all the time. Because I put the lights on while I was reviewing the car for you guys. Now we can immediately see the brightness of the screen here behind of the speedometer. The display here is much brighter, much easier to use, to interact. It's quite fun. Here you see the charge power, how much you're using. And then quite easy to see the mode engage buttons in the center. Neutral drive, reverse park, right by your hands. Also still physical buttons for the air conditioning right by your hand to control it. To easily change temperature maybe while you're driving. Put it a bit downward the temperature. Because I think a woman was driving this car, it was like 24 degrees here on the inside. Too hot for me. Perfect place to test this car out in the city center. But I still have the feeling that we have a petrol engine with the sound that's constantly on. My friend is getting quite annoyed by the sound this car is making, and I can get why, because if you think about it, it's just a fake sound. It's not really, and it's constantly on the same tone, so not really going with the car, not really getting higher. When we accelerate or when we brake, it's always burbling. So you will maybe get annoyed by it, but you can of course turn it off if you'd want. Then coming to the price point, we were also discussing the Fiat 500e is already an expensive car. I think it comes in about 30,000, and then this one, the Abarth version, even 40,000 euros, which is quite expensive. It was just a small city car, just a small hatchback that you won't really take driving with your family or really take it on vacation. Just as a second car. I think it's quite expensive, 40,000 euros. You have a lot of other cars for that price point. But of course, this car gives you sort of a fun car, sort of car that is more about the feeling it gives to you, that it lets you smile, the cool finishing on the inside, the cool touches like the sound box and everything. Just every detail is nicely done. On normal, regular hatchback you wouldn't have such detail in everything, like the stitching here and just the different materials they are using, the leather and the Alcantara, and everything is really thought about. It's sort of a design on its own. You have like the GBL sound system, which is quite a good one. So it's more of a fancy car, I would say, for fancy women or for fancy guys that want to have something more special to drive around than just their normal, boring city car. That's why the price point is so high. Of course, all electric cars are more expensive. But comparing it to like a regular Abarth, comes in at 25,000 euros, then this is really a lot higher. But I don't think they are actually selling the regular Abarths anymore, so you will need to go for one of these if you're still interested in an Abarth. But just the city driving is quite easy, quite fun to do here. On top you have some assistance buttons, some SOS button, some lighting you can put on. And this is actually to open the roof. We'll maybe do while we're waiting here. It's winter here in Belgium, but why not open the roof? then we can have a full listen to the sound. Maybe put it quickly in neutral. It's quite fun. Fake sound. Everybody will be thinking here in traffic, what's that guy doing? He's driving with the roof up. And then a fake sounding Abarth. But it's a car that will draw some attention, especially in this color. So yeah, why not just enjoy it? Isn't that cold today? 11 degrees it says, so maybe drive a bit with the roof up. Although it starts raining. And that was all it, guys. Some bit noisy of course on the inside. We can also have a nice look here at a nice listen to the sound box. Maybe. Only 155 kilometers an hour can drive. And 7 seconds 0 to 100, so really not the fastest, but I think to just drive on a daily basis it's fast enough. Maybe a bit too much. Close the roof back. The 0 to 100 isn't really the fastest because of the extra weight the battery gives you. 1700 kilos for such a small car, it's heavy I think. And yeah, 7 seconds isn't really that fast nowadays. Even bigger saloons do like a quicker 0 to 100. So the i5 I drove in the last video, the new 5 Series, did it even in 6 seconds. So yeah, for such a small car, it could be better I think, 0 to 100 time. But yeah, the second won't really give you that much different of a feeling. Then I'm gonna talk you a bit through the history of Abarth. It's also quite fun to talk about that, because a lot of you will probably do not like this car because of the sound box. And I have quite a fun story to tell about the sound of Abarth. Back in the 1950s, in 1949 actually, Abarth was started. Alberto, I think it was Alberto Abarth, who started the company. He just bought an old sort racing brand that was a bit in financial issues. He bought it from them to start his own, and then he had like some cars to start with from scratch. But actually how he made his money back in the day to go racing, because Abarth was very known in the 50s and in the 60s to win a lot of races, especially in the rallying, because they were small, lightweight, quite twisty for mountain roads. He actually sold exhaust systems to finance his racing, and it's quite funny, the exhaust system he built back in the day was to make the cars more silent. Thinking about it, but nowadays the Abarths are all quite loud. Back in the days they needed to be more silent, because in racing there is of course a lot of restrictions that you can't make the cars too loud, and it's quite fun to tell. So we started for Ferrari, Maserati, Alfa Romeo to build exhausts for their race cars, and actually some of their winning race cars were wearing an Abarth exhaust back in the time. It's quite high, the exhaust note that is now on. So I think it's quite fun to tell you that story with it. And think in the beginning they only sold like a couple thousand exhausts, and then in 1962, after 10 years, they already had sold like more than 250,000 exhausts. So that's where the funding came for the racing. And of course, he raced with Fiat cars, with Lancia cars. He made his own Abarth car from, made it more sporty. Abarth really was a guy that was into racing, and at the end of the 80s, 90s, Abarth even got into a bit of financial problems because he was mostly focused on racing, and that's where Fiat took over Abarth at that time. And then in the 90s, I think they were out of business. You didn't really hear much about them till the beginning of 2009, I think, something like that. Beginning of 2000s, Fiat actually built a factory for Abarth, where it still is located now, that they could still make Abarth sports cars. Of course, mostly based on the Fiat 500s, like you will all know them. But in the past they also had like different models from the Fiat Punto or the Fiat 124 Spider. You will still see now. Then we're here arrived at the McDo, so we can do like a drive-in. Another place where this car will be quite a lot of times in a drive-in. And we'll see how it behaves. I just finished my meal here at the McDonald's, and it's quite a cool look here. The McDonald's and the car here in front. The Abarth looks quite nice if you ask me, but I think we need to leave because they're calling us. But I like the exterior look, but I think it's time to go for a drive. Filming here a bit from the inside. Here see you how much the voltage the battery is using, how much percentage is left, the battery, how much kilowatts an hour you're using. And it's quite fast, guys. Not gonna say it isn't, especially with the sound on. It really makes a difference that you get also the feeling that you're driving fast. That's sometimes the thing that lacks a bit with the electric cars, that you don't really have the feeling that you're driving fast, but this one really does give you that feeling. And the steering is quite tight, quite direct, like you would want on a sports car. Also the suspension sits a bit harder as you would normally have. Then to come to a conclusion here of this Fiat 500e Abarth, I would say it's a very good looking car. They put a lot of effort in the designing. You can't argue about that. On the exterior it looks good, on the interior it looks good, especially in this very bright acid green color. It's a very nice one, so to you guys that will maybe ordering one, pick this bright color. It gets a lot of attention here, everybody's smiling. It drives quite fast, was fun the driving. The range kept quite good, although we're also driving it now for almost 2-3 hours and driving it a bit sporty. I think the car still has 160 kilometers of range left, so the 200 kilometers can easily be done. But yeah, it's quite an expensive car. 40,000 is expensive for a small hatchback, but yeah, in comparison to other small electric hatchbacks, I think the pricing is right. They can't make it think that much cheaper, because yeah, the battery pack is expensive. To do like a design like this costs some money. So I would say, I think it's a car to buy, to enjoy. I like it. If I have a good budget for an electric car, I would look at this one. As a guy, as a woman, it's not only a woman's car, it's good for all types of age, also for younger people. I think it's interesting. And yeah, it's a good car. I enjoyed it. I also want to say a very big thanks to the Van Mossel group here to let me drive it. It's brand new Abarth E. Big thanks to them. If you're interested in buying a new Abarth, then go to them. They will help you with all their kindness. And I also want to say to all of you for watching a very big thank you. I hope you also support the channel by supporting me. Give a like, subscribe on the channel if you haven't already. Then I'll see you in the next car review. The next car we'll be driving, I think next week, is the Volkswagen ID.7, also a full electric one. So make sure to keep an eye on the channel. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye!